Merry Christmas! Come warm yourself by the fire and enjoy this episode of Days of Dorker Past. Merry Christmas! My name's Rob, and welcome to Days of Dorker Past. I hope you all are enjoying the season with your family and friends and all your loved ones. But for this episode, I thought let's try something a little bit different and dive into the Christmas Encyclopedia. Now, this is a book that I picked up at a library sale, and what intrigued me about this is there is a companion Halloween book for this. That for some reason these are sold like textbooks. So they're very expensive. But I was able to find this one used at a library sale, and I'm hoping one day to find the Halloween one. But anyway, this has a little bit of everything. So I thought it would be kind of fun for us to flip through it and go over some of the stuff that's in it. So if I find anything interesting, I'll let you know. See, already flipping through this, it has really weird entries. Like here it says the Alan Brady Show presents. Now the Alan Brady Show was the show that Dick Van Dyke worked on the Dick Van Dyke Show. And of course it says, see, Dick Van Dyke Show. Then you get over here and it talks about Christmas Carol, All I Want for Christmas Is My Two Front Teeth. Written in 1946. Did not achieve national fame until 1948, when a recording by Spike Jones and his City Slickers made it the top Christmas song of that year. Very interesting. Alvin's Christmas Carol. See also A Christmas Carol, because even though it starred Alvin and the Chipmunks, it was just a retelling of the Charles Dickens classic. Andy Griffith Show. Apparently, out of the 249 episodes that they made of the Andy Griffith Show, only one featured a Christmas theme, and it was titled simply Christmas Story. It aired December 19th, 1960. Now, this is something I don't remember. In 1984, the comic strip BC had a Christmas special. Caveman Peter and Wiley devise a money-making scheme by creating the legend of a man who delivers presents to everyone once a year. When people accept the legend, they will give gifts, which Peter and Wiley will sell to their friends in the name of this man, who will be called Santa Claus. A tree with his symbol, and he will fly in a reindeer sleigh. Since the two cavemen will sell X amount of merchandise to the masses, the holiday will be known as Xmas. But during the planning, the true Santa makes a visit on December 24th, and the legend becomes a reality. Surprisingly, it doesn't sound all that great, but I don't remember that ever airing. But 1984, BC, A Christmas Special. I gotta look into that. We got Babar and Father Christmas, which is a famous Christmas story. I grew up with the Babar books, and also when Babar was an HBO show, when we had HBO for a small amount of time. Babes in Toyland. Now, my favorite version of Babes in Toyland was the 1934 Laurel and Hardy version, which is also called March of the Wooden Soldiers. That is a crazy movie. Black and white, but they later colorized it. But it had crazy stuff like trolls, a monkey dressed up like Mickey Mouse, a dude dressed up like a cat because it had a lot of nursery rhyme characters running around, and these things called peewees that were darts. I don't know if they were flat or a little edged, but they were darts. And I guess it was Hardy, the thin one, would hit a stick on the ground that they'd fly up and he'd go, psh, and they'd stick. And, it's like a funny thing throughout until they fight the trolls at the end, and then he's, smoking them with these darts. There's even a part where they fill a cannon with them, and like 100 darts stick in this troll's back. It's a crazy movie. I love it. I've been trying to find it for a reasonable price on DVD. Probably never on Blu-ray, but DVD. And hopefully one day I'll get it, and when I do, I'll give a more recent viewing review of it, because it's been decades since I've seen it. Another one of my favorite Babes in Toyland was the one made in 1961, starring Ray Bolger, Tommy Sands and Annette Funicello, Ed Wynn, Tommy Kirk. I mean, these were all classic Disney actors at the time, and it's a really good movie. Again, a lot of the nursery rhyme themes with Mother Goose and stuff in it. Great movie. And there was one that they remade in 1986 with Drew Barrymore and Keanu Reeves, Pat Morita. I can't say I've ever seen that one, but I have seen it on VHS here and there, but I've never seen it. Another special that aired in the 80s that I don't really remember was The Bear Who Slept Through Christmas. Based on a book, it aired in 1983 with voices of Tommy Smothers, Casey Kasem, but I don't ever remember seeing that one either. 1983 would have been prime Christmas special viewing age for me, so I don't know why I hadn't seen that one. We got the Berenstain Bears. A little bit of everything. Even got a couple Bewitched episodes that they break down in here from the 60s. We're just in the B's so far, folks. This has some really good stuff. The Bishop's Wife, that's a really good movie. I love the original with David Niven. Now this is weird, and granted I haven't seen this either, but Casper's First Christmas from 1979. Now, Casper was a Harvey Comics character, the same people who did Richie Rich. But apparently Hanna-Barbera made the cartoon special, and Quick Draw McGraw, Huckleberry Hound, Augie Doggy, Doggy Daddy, Snagglepuss, Yogi Bear, and Boo Boo all made an appearance as they dropped by Casper's house. Of course, Charlie Brown Christmas, a classic. Very melancholy. I think trying to get my kids to watch it, which are 5 and 3 at the moment, they sense that, for lack of better terms, the depression of the story, and they don't really dig it. I think as a kid we just kind of accepted it and moved on, but since there's so many other Christmas specials around nowadays, they kind of skip it. I can't blame them, honestly, but it is a classic and I still do enjoy watching it. The Chipmunk Christmas, 1981. This is one of my all-time favorites, and it's one that I remember vividly as a kid. This is the one where there was a sick kid, and Alvin gave him his golden harmonica to cheer him up. Now, Alvin got booked a gig with his harmonica, and he needed to get a new one. So he does all these things to try to make money, and Dave thinks that he's just being a jerk trying to get money, instead of Alvin just telling him the truth. So, by the end of it, Mrs. Claus, don't want to give any spoilers, but I will, Mrs. Claus sees how giving Alvin is and what a great dude he's being, so she presents him with a golden harmonica. He's able to make his performance, and the little boy that he gave the original harmonica to makes a miraculous recovery. For some reason, it's just one of my favorites. Like I said, vividly remember it as a kid, and that's one that my kids actually enjoy because they love Alvin and the Chipmunks, and who doesn't? And of course from there it goes into the Chipmunk song, another classic. I love it. I love it when it pops up on the radio during Christmas. And Alvin, Simon, and Theodore named after 3 executives at Liberty Records. Man, that kind of just blows the fun out of that. Dang. It has every single version of Christmas Carol done here in movies and television. Wow, they're broken down by alphabetical order. And I mean, everything from Blackadder's Christmas, An American Christmas Carol, A Christmas Carol from 1913, one from 1914, Scrooged, great movie. But it's like 4 or 5 pages just of the different adaptions of it in film and in TV. That's crazy. The Origins of Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Gifts, Christmas Cards, Christmas Is, which is an American song written in 1966 by Percy Faith and Spence Maxwell. Interesting. But we won't get into all that. We're here for the interesting tidbits. We get to A Christmas Story, 1983. Classic. One of my favorites. On Christmas Day, we always have it run in 24 hours on TNT or whatever, the marathon. I have it on DVD, but it's rare that I actually watch it outside of Christmas Day. It's a classic. I remember the commercials for it and being intrigued, and when it finally came out on VHS, I just had to rent it, and I loved it. And ever since then, it has been a Christmas staple for me. Another classic from the 80s that does not get the respect it deserves. A Claymation Christmas Celebration. 1987. By Will Vinton. The dinosaur figures Rex and Herb host a series of carol renditions performed by claymation characters. And the music is beautiful in it. It is definitely something that you can put on the TV, walk around the house, just getting into the season by listening to the music. And the narrative that's weaved through with Rex and Herb is very funny. I love it. I'm glad I got it on DVD. And it also came with an Easter and a Halloween Will Vinton specials that I don't remember ever airing, but I watch them every year at their respective holidays on DVD. Now this is something that's caught my attention. Devil's Kneel. See Great Britain. We will when we get there. I forgot to say when we were talking about A Christmas Carol a couple pages back, one of the best and my favorite is the Disney Christmas Carol, or Mickey's Christmas Carol. It was what solidified Scrooge in his animated form, because he'd been in the comics for decades before that, through the Carl Barks issues, and I grew up loving it. I believe it came out in 1981, and it was actually the short, an opening for another film, and I can't remember which one. Maybe it'll be here, and we'll have the answer. Elves. See Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway. Some of my favorite places when dealing with Christmas myths. So stay tuned. Going back here, eggnog. Something I love drinking, but don't really know what's in it. So it consists of beaten eggs, spices, cream, sugar, and some forms of alcohol. Now, I've never had it, well, I've only had it a couple of times with alcohol, but I just love it. I mean, I buy it in the milk jug maybe once or twice during the Christmas season or Thanksgiving season, and I just love it. It's a great drink. I remember the first time I ever drank it was McDonald's used to have the eggnog shake, and I was a little kid and I didn't really dig it then, but if I was to get one of them shakes now, I would love it. I'm loving it. Ernest Saves Christmas. A Family Circus Christmas, 1979. Now, I actually remember this. Let's see here. As Mommy, Daddy, Billy, Dolly, Jeffy, and PJ decorate the Christmas tree, a sentimental crisis arises when the family cannot find the handmade star fashioned by the children's late grandfather years ago. After dreaming about riding with Santa to the North Pole to see wondrous holiday inventions, Jeffy asks the department store Santa to bring his grandfather back from heaven for Christmas. With faith in such an impossible request, Jeffy does receive a miraculous alternative. On Christmas Eve, the spirits of Santa and his grandfather guide Jeffy to the star, which has been misplaced. Atop the tree and lit, the star symbolizes the grandfather is still among them. Aww. Anyway, Frosty Returns, 1993. Horrible, horrible Christmas movie. Now, I love John Goodman, but he's no Frosty. The original Frosty, which was voiced by, let's see if I can find it here, Jackie Vernon. I don't know who that is, but sounds like I should know. He's my Frosty, not John Goodman. Plus the whole thing with the snow melting spray, ridiculous. Anyway. Garfield Christmas Special, 1987. Wow, was it really that late? I always thought it was earlier than that. Oh yeah, Odie gives Garfield a back scratcher which he built with his own paws. Yeah, I remember that. I gotta try to track that down. That was pretty good. Just like the Garfield Halloween Special, one of the best. I just found something interesting here, because now we're looking up Great Britain, and I'm trying to find the Devil Kneel. But a favorite English Christmas Eve party game in the 19th century, and long before that, was Snapdragon. All the lights in a room were extinguished, and a quantity of raisins in a large bowl were covered with brandy and ignited. I think you could stop there, but there's more. The partygoers now take turns to grasp a raisin by plunging their hands through the flames. A considerable amount of laughter and merriment is evoked. Yeah, and third-degree burns. What the heck? Let's find this Devil Kneel. Okay, I found it. Noteworthy Christmas Eve celebrations include a festival of 9 lessons and carols, held annually at King's College in Cambridge, and the Devil's Kneel, or Old Lad's Passing Bell. The latter a formerly widespread custom throughout Europe that originated in the Middle Ages. For at least 1 hour before midnight on Christmas Eve, churches tolled the death of Satan, who according to folklore had perished at the midnight birth of Christ. One bell tolled once for each year that had passed since that time. The bells pealed joyful upon the stroke of midnight to herald the arrival of Christmas. Now, I think in the Dark Horse Christmas Special, there was a Monster Man. Was that his name? Monster Men. I don't know. It was this cool dude that wore a helmet, like a knight's helmet at all times, kind of covered his face. No matter what he was wearing, he could be wearing a dapper tuxedo and he still had this knight's helmet. Kind of like a luchador. But it was a story with him with these Christmas spirits that he had to rid of a house. And I think it was the tolling of these bells were what turned them to, turned them to stone, I think, or they froze to death in the snow because they couldn't find their way back to the house. Either way, I think they mentioned this tolling of the bells in that story. But something like that probably isn't in this book. But let's continue. Holiday Inn. Good movie, but I always got it confused with White Christmas, which I think is the more superior movie because of Danny Kaye. But it was still pretty good. I just remember as a kid when it would come on TV, I'd be excited for White Christmas, and it would be this, and I'd be a little let down, but it was still a pretty good movie. Home Alone. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, another classic. one that we watch every year. Not a big fan of the Jim Carrey version, I gotta tell you. But I am looking forward to seeing the new one with, what's his name? Cumberbatch in it. Here we go, Iceland. Like I said, home to some of my favorite Christmas mythology. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm going to butcher these words, these Icelandic words, and I apologize, but I'll try my best. But the Jolus Vinan... Jolus Vine Narnir, or the Christmas Lads. These creatures, plus the Jolakotor discussed below, constitute the most significant of Icelandic Christmas folklore. The lads first appeared in the 17th century as the sons of two 13th century trolls, Grala and her husband Lapaludi, both of whom stole and ate naughty children at Christmas time. Gotta love it. Over the centuries, the sons, having assumed the Yuletide role of their parents, now deliver the Christmas gifts. Yet they are still notorious as pranksters and thieves, and appear in red suits similar to the Western Santa Claus. Although some 70 names exist for the lads, 13 are most commonly accepted, each name reflecting a particular preference for mischief. Often the pilfering of food, Gimpy, Gully Lump, Most Tiny, Pot Scraper Liquor, Pot Liquor, Bowl Liquor, Door Slammer, Yogurt Eater, Sausage Grabber, Window Peeper, Doorway Sniffer, Meat Hooker, and Candle Beggar. Residing in the mountains, the lads appear 13 days before Christmas, one new lad arriving each day with a Christmas gift. Children prepare for their arrival by hanging up a sock or by placing their shoes on the windowsill only on Christmas Eve. If they have been good, the lads fill their shoes with treats, wherein naughty children receive either some undesirable object or nothing at all. The lads begin their sequential departure on Christmas Day and have returned to the mountain abode by Epiphany, which is January 6th, at which time the Christmas season ends. Now, my favorite, Jolkatar, or the Christmas cat, a pet monster of the parent trolls mentioned above. The gigantic Christmas cat devours those who have received no new Christmas clothes. In former days, when the only Christmas gifts consist of a bonus of new clothing for processing the autumn wool, the cat was used to threaten those less privileged villagers who would not have received such a bonus. Although the oldest written sources about the cat date to the 19th century, a 20th century Icelandic poet, Johannes Kurtlum, immortalized the beast in a poem, which Vignir Johnson translated into English as the Christmas cat. According to the poem, the cat stalks about on Christmas Eve and peers into windows in search of poor children, the least likely recipients of new garments. At its conclusion, the poem makes an appeal for all to help children in dire need at Christmas time, not because of a mythical beast, but for the sake of their happiness and well-being. See, that's a message you can get behind. Add a giant, murderous cat on top of it, that's just awesome bonus points. It's a Wonderful Life. I talked about that in last week's episode with the Christmas in movies that aren't Christmas movies, and I would say It's a Wonderful Life is more about the human condition, about failure and wishing you weren't here anymore. It just happens to be around Christmas time and has some of the themes such as angels and religion and such in it, but like I mentioned with the Hudsucker Proxy, it's more about the human condition, and it just happens to be around Christmas time. Great movie. I love it. Unfortunately, it's a little bit too heady for my kids, but whenever I get a chance, I have to watch it at Christmas time. Jack Frost, great Rankin and Bass movie. And then Jingle Bell Rock. You know what I love most about Jingle Bell Rock? When Hall & Oates did it. Oh man, that video alone, perfection. Mickey's Christmas Carol. I can't find any info here on what movie it aired before, as the half an hour short beforehand. But one thing I do remember that I have to point out were the Hardee's stuffed animals. Man, I wish I still had those. I think I may have one or two of them still at my parents' house in storage, but God, I wish I still had that Donald and that Scrooge. Oh, Mr. Magoo's Christmas. Never a fan of Mr. Magoo, but I remember it being on TV and having to watch it because my parents liked it, because he was more from their time period. Lame. National Lampoon Christmas, that is a modern classic, just like A Christmas Story is. Man, that's a great movie, and that's taken on a life of its own nowadays, especially Cousin Eddie. Nightmare Before Christmas, another classic. See if they have any good trivia here that we don't already know. Nah, this is all what we already know. But I think it's funny, and even my original DVD release of it and VHS release, Disney is only in the fine print of that movie, and it was done by one of their subsidiaries. I can't remember off the top of my head how horrible that is, but let me see if it says here.
A few moments later.
No. But anyway, Disney's name was hardly anywhere on it. All of a sudden it gets popular and becomes this big pop culture phenomenon. Now Disney's name's on it because the monies are rolling in. One time I went to Disney, not the last time, but the one before that, I went into the Christmas store there. They have like a whole back room just of Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. It was amazing. Expensive, but amazing. But I was a fan of that movie from the get-go. I think I was still in high school. A girl I was dating at the time, that was like the first movie I took her to. And either that was my second or third time when I actually took her, but I had to have the soundtrack. Burger King had the watches. I had them all. Still have a couple of them. I saw that they had a talking Jack Skellington at KB Toys. I got that. I still have that. But everyone was sleeping on that movie when it first came out. I wasn't even fully emo yet, but I loved it. I loved the music because I grew up watching musicals with my parents, and it was great. Danny Elfman's music is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And luckily it's something that my kids enjoy, so I get to watch it a lot around Christmas time. It's actually like the first thing we watch because it's that gateway between Halloween and fall and Christmas. So it's usually the first Christmas special we'll watch of the season. Polar Express. That's a creepy movie, man. Prancer. Never seen it. Trying to find, and I have it on DVD, but there was a Christmas special that I vividly remember, like I did with Alvin, about some mouse that wrote to Santa saying no one believed in him and not to come around, and he didn't, and the mouse had to save Christmas. Was it the mouse that saved Christmas? Did I skip over it? Let's see here. But that was one of my favorites growing up because they had to make a song to play on the church bells, I think. It was automated, whatever they made, that played a Christmas song, and Santa came back, and the little mouse and his family saved Christmas after that. But that was one of my favorites. I'll see if I can remember the name as we go along here. But if not, hopefully that's enough info for you guys to go on to try to catch it. Back to... okay, Rudolph. Love it. Classic. Sad that it's getting all this heat nowadays, because as a kid growing up, that, at least in our generation, that, I mean, wasn't how life was, but it was close to it at times. Life was rough. People were harsh to judge you. But you know what? You persevered. You didn't hide behind Twitter or Facebook and cry about stuff. You wanted something, you did it. You didn't let anyone keep you down if you wanted it. So what? They made fun of your nose. Screw them. You do a good job and keep your head up. Prove them wrong. That's the moral of it. Santa Claus the Motion Picture.
I hate that movie.
Sorry to use the word hate during a Christmas special, but I hate it. Hate the Puce Pops. Hate Dudley Moore. I mean, John Lithgow's pretty cool, I guess, as the bad guy. And David Huddleston, he was a pretty good Santa. But that movie was crap. Hated it. Hated the little tough street kid. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. The Santa Claus movies, they're pretty good. I kind of like them. The Simpsons. Yeah, their Christmas special, that was something that really spoke to me at the time. The one scene where they have to buy the cheapest Christmas gifts that they can, and they buy the squeak toy pork chop. For the longest time, that was my thing of, you know, I truly forget the lines now, but it's like,
Dropped your pork chop.
Give me that!
hey, you dropped your pork chop, squeak squeak. Always had me rolling. And that Christmas, my parents got me a squeak toy pork chop for my stocking. So I couldn't stop saying the line for many Christmases after, and it's kind of sad that I can't remember it now. But I have really great memories over that Christmas special. And it's what launched the whole Simpsons juggernaut of today. Here's a good one to stop at and read for a little bit. Superstitions. Let's look at some of these. A number of happy months a person can expect in the coming year is determined by the number of different homes in which mince pie is eaten during the holidays. Okay. On Christmas Eve, pour melted lead into cold water. The pattern of hardened metal in the water resembles an unmarried woman to determine her future husband's initials, looks, or profession, and to get cancer from lead. Water turns to wine at midnight on Christmas Eve. Score. Place a branch of a cherry tree in water indoors on the first day of Advent, December 4th, or on St. Lucy's Day, which is December 13th. If it flowers by Christmas, good luck is in store. That's kind of neat. A child born on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day will have good fortune, except no birthday parties, and that kind of stinks. A child born during the 12 nights of Christmas may become a Kelly Kandaziri, an evil half-human monster. Awesome! A child born during the 12 nights of Christmas may become a werewolf. Oh, that would have been rad. If I was born then and became a werewolf. If an unmarried woman allows a bowl of water to freeze overnight on Christmas Eve, the ice pattern seen on Christmas morning will disclose her heart's desire. And these are really sexist. If an unmarried woman lies on her back on New Year's Eve and tosses her shoe backwards over her head, the direction of the toe points in the direction in which her future husband will come. Wow, that's random. Eating an apple on Christmas Eve brings good health for the coming year. Refusing mince pie at Christmas dinner brings bad luck for a year. Buried treasure reveals itself during the reading of Christ's genealogy at midnight mass. On Christmas Eve, if an unmarried woman peels an apple, making sure it remains as a single ribbon, and she throws it on the floor from above her head, the pattern of the peel on the floor will disclose her future husband's initials. Man, they really make the unwed woman sound really sad, and that ain't cool. Burning old shoes during the Christmas season prevents misfortune in the coming year. A windy Christmas day brings good luck. The weather on each of the 12 days of Christmas will determine the weather for the corresponding months in the coming year. That's kind of neat. During the 12 days of Christmas, place a blindfolded goose in a circle of unwed girls. The first girl that the goose touches will be the first to wed. Now, I want to see someone try to blindfold a goose. At midnight, cattle kneel facing east on Christmas Eve, and bees hum Psalm 100. Okay, we don't need to read all of these. Oh, he whose appetite fails first at Christmas will be the first to die. That's pretty gnarly. On Christmas Eve, if a unwed girl knocks on a hen house door and a rooster crows, she will marry within the year. A cat meowing on Christmas Day predicts bad luck. Well, what if you own cats and they're hungry and they meow? Yeah. Enough of that. Tom and Jerry's Night Before Christmas, 1991. Can't say I've ever seen that. Ah, here it is. The mouse story I was telling you about. It was called 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And yes, fixes a clock with the aid of a book by Cornelius, and Santa arrives to everyone's happiness. Narrated and sung by Joel Grey, who's famous for being Chune in Remo Williams. That's pretty cool. Okay, here. We're starting to get to the end here. We're in the U's, the V's, the Waltons, Wassail, which is a joke in the Claymation Christmas with the wassailing, what they're trying to figure out what it means. But what it is a hot beverage consisting of wine, cider, ale, or other liquor, with spices such as cloves, ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg. Other ingredients have included eggs, milk, sugar, molasses, lemon, roasted apples, and thin slices of toast. Ew, you imagine drinking wine with toast in it? Ugh, never mind. White Christmas. Love that movie, like I said. Winter Wonderland. It's a great song. Written in 1934. Yogi's First Christmas from 1980. I'm sure I've seen it. Don't remember it very much. And Ziggy's Gift from 1982. Oh, that Ziggy. But anyway, this has just been us flipping through the Christmas Encyclopedia, trying to get a few facts and myths and folklore for Christmas. This book has a lot more in it. I was just skipping over to some of the better parts, some of the more pop culture parts that it has in it. But, good book. If you ever come across it, I recommend getting it. Well, anyway, Merry Christmas. And like I said, I hope you're all enjoying it with friends, loved ones, anybody special in your life. Because at the end of the day, that's what Christmas is really all about. Sure, the gifts and stuff are fun and awesome, but just being with people that you love and enjoy the company of is the best. So, until next time, my name is Rob. Keep being rad, stay dorky, and Merry Christmas. Thank you for watching this episode presented by My Side of the Laundry Room. Please check out some of these other recommended videos, and if you enjoyed what you've watched, please hit the subscribe button. You can also follow on Twitter, like on Facebook, and read up on My Side of the Laundry Room at our blog. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep being rad and stay dorky.